Welcome back on Market Headlines. The Indonesia Central Bureau of Statistics, or BPS, released its latest data on the number of foreign tourists entering Indonesia in November 2020. The number of foreign tourists in November reached 175.31 thousand. The Indonesia Central Bureau of Statistics, or BPS, released its latest data on the number of foreign tourists entering Indonesia in November 2020. The number of foreign tourists in November reached 175.31 thousand. This number decreased 86.31% year-on-year compared to November 2019, where the number of foreign tourists reached 1.28 million visits. That's true, this comparison is very sharp, considering that in 2019 there was no coronavirus pandemic. However, looking deeper into the BPS data, compared to October 2020, foreign tourist visit to Indonesia actually increased.
November ini 2020 sebesar 175.000 kunjungan, 175,3 ribu kunjungan wisatawan mancanegara. Kalau kita lihat man-to-man, kita bandingkan dengan bulan sebelumnya, ini mengalami peningkatan sebesar 13,90%.
As stated by BPS, there was an increase in foreign tourist visits by 13.9% compared to October 2020, where based on data throughout last October, the number of foreign tourists entering Indonesia reached 153.9 thousand. From all sources for IDX Channel. Yes, viewers, the COVID-19 pandemic has not ended. The economy has not fully shown recovery, including the Indonesian tourism sector. BPS data shows that there has been an improvement in terms of foreign tourist visits, but is it significant enough to encourage the revival of the tourism sector? To get a clearer view, let's check it out in this following infographics. We go to the next graphic. The first graphic, it's number of foreign tourist visits to Indonesia. The data is taken from BPS on January 2020. That was 1,272.08, 1.2 million visits. And then we can see in the March, that was declined to 470.9 thousand. And we can see from April and the next months, it's only a flat or sideways. We can see the April is 158.7 thousand visits, and then on July 157.94 thousand of visits, and in September and October there was an improvement. We can see that on October 2020 153.92 thousand visits, and on November 2020 1,075.3 thousand of visits, and cumulatively in January up to November 2020 3.89 million visits, or decreased by 73.6% year-on-year. And yes, viewers, clearly there has been a drastic decrease compared to the previous year, where as we all know, there has been no coronavirus pandemic yet. But if we dig further, foreign tourist visits in November 2020 compared to the previous month, or October 2020, there was an increase of 30.9%. Based on BPS data, the number of foreign tourist visits is dominated by land routes, followed by air and sea routes. And for details, let's move to the next graphic. So this is the mode of transportation used by foreign tourists. In the graphic, we can see that from air transportation, 43,394 visits, and from sea mode transportation, 43,343 visits, and from land routes, 88,576 visits. The data is taken from BPS. So viewers, compared to the foreign tourist visits in October 2020, the number of foreign tourist arrivals to Indonesia through air and transits in November 2020 experienced a rapid increase of 240.13%. The highest percentage increase occurred at Lombok International Airport and West Nusa Tenggara, then followed by Juanda Airport, East Java, and Kuala Namu Airport in North Sumatra. Meanwhile, the number of foreign tourist arrivals in November 2020 who came through sea entrances actually increased by 1.94% compared to the previous month or October 2020. Entrance to Batam in Riau Islands became the entry point with the highest increase, which was 256.02%. And regarding the visits of foreign tourists, tourists from which countries have dominated so far? We'll check the data in the next graphic. So in the graphic, we can see that the origin of foreign tourists. We can see in November 2020, in the first place, Timor-Leste with 41.61%. The second place is Malaysia with 23.75%. And then China on the third place with 3.72%. And Netherlands 1.75%, and United States of America with 1.39%. The data is taken from BPS on November 2020. So viewers, of the 175,000 visits in November 2020, foreign tourists who came from the Oceania region had the highest percentage decline compared to November 2019, which was 98.54%. Meanwhile, the lowest percentage decline was seen in foreign tourists who came from the Asian region outside Asia, amounting to 78.73%. And cumulatively, from January to November 2020, foreign tourists coming from the African region has the highest percentage in decline, amounting to 81.51% compared to the same period in the previous year. And cumulatively, until November 2020, tourists from Malaysia dominated with 23.94%, followed by Timor-Leste 23.83%, Singapore 7.07%, Australia 6.44%, and China, of course, with 5.99%. And viewers, the business of tourist visits should also be seen from the occupancy rate of hotel rooms in Indonesia, right? But did the data reflect this? Let's see it in the next graphic. So this is Indonesia's hotel occupancy rate in November 2020. The first indicator is star-class hotel room occupancy rate was at the level of 40.14%, or decline by 18.44 basis points year on year. And then the second indicator is the average length of stay of foreign tourists at star classification hotels, 1.59 days, or declined by 0.919% basis points, year on year. And based on the hotel classification, the highest hotel room occupancy rate in November 2020 was recorded at hotels with a 3-star classification, with a percentage of 42.03%, followed by 4-star hotels at 41.91%. Meanwhile, the lowest occupancy rate was recorded at hotels with a 1-star classification, with a percentage of 29.03%. Meantime, the average length of stay of foreign and Indonesian guests at star-classified hotels in Indonesia in November 2020 reached 1.59 days when compared to November 2019. The average length of stay in November 2020 decreased by 0.19 points. Details: according to the province, the longest average length of stay for guests in November 2020 was recorded in Maluku Province, followed by Papua Province and Gorontalo Province. So viewers, hopefully the Indonesia's tourism industry continues to show improvement along with the government's efforts in recovering the national economy. So viewers, stay tuned on Market Headlines. We'll be right back after this quick break.